He snaps the neck of one and plunges the scissors he snatched off the table into the other's neck. More SCP containment specialists, these ones dressed in tactical gear with no attempt made to disguise themselves as
It's like John Wick, bro.
into the room.
Alright, this one is by Dr. Bob, SCP-056, a beautiful person. Let's start.
The gleaming steel scissors glide effortlessly through the sheet of red material, slicing through as if nothing was there. The blood-red fabric parts to either side. A pair of hands pick up one of the pieces
We
and
got
hold
a
it up
sewer.
into the air. The man admires
see
his
the
handiwork
SCP?
before draping the cloth on a dress form and pinning it in place. Although there are many tables in the large room with sewing
Or maybe the
machines and
mannequin's the
mannequins next to
SCP.
them, they're all empty. The man works all alone in the big room. And it is impossible not to notice that he's an incredibly handsome man, too. So good looking that no matter your preferences, you can't help but stop and take notice of his perfect facial features, his slim, fit physique, his lithe, dexterous hands. He brushes a strand of dirty blonde hair away from his vibrant blue eyes and takes a pin out of his mouth before adjusting the fabric just a millimeter more before sticking it in place. The man steps away from the dress form and
Now,
admires
can
his
he
work.
make SCPs?
There.
Like the
Absolutely
factory?
Perfect. There's no doubt that this will be the closing look of the upcoming fashion show. Another masterpiece. Just like him. But that doesn't mean that
Just
he's
like
finished.
him,
There's still much to be done, and he goes back to work at his table, sewing bits of fabric together to create embellishments for the opulent couture gown. He's so focused on his new design that he doesn't notice the fashion house's operating manager in the hall outside of the workroom. The manager points through the glass window in the door and tells the two police officers with him that this is the man they're looking for. There's been a number of tragic and mysterious crimes involving people connected to this fashion company, and the police have finally closed in on a suspect. Well, not the police exactly, but two SCP Foundation agents posing as police officers.
Damn, SCP works
The Foundation
everywhere,
became
huh?
suspicious after learning that there had been several missing persons, murders, and mental breakdowns, all of which involved people connected to this one company.
Fashion company?
And even more specifically, they were all connected to one man. There was plenty of evidence that something more than just regular
Oh, that guy's definitely an SCP, right?
Something strange was happening. Something anomalous. One of the police officers nods at his partner before gesturing for the manager to leave. It's always better not to have civilians present during a containment. The incredibly handsome man still hasn't noticed his guests in the hall, remaining completely absorbed in his work, and he doesn't even look up when the two agents burst into the room, both with guns drawn, not taking any chances.
Or is the sewing machine the SCP?
One of the agents shouts.
That could
the
be.
beautiful man doesn't respond and just continues snipping
tools.
away at fabric with his scissors. I said freeze! He commands again. And
Freeze,
this time,
bro.
the handsome man at least appears to have heard them.
That's how
finally
we get
stopping his
shot,
work.
man.
He slowly looks up with his piercing eyes to gaze at the men who have intruded into his creative workspace.
Oh no, I
Drop
think it's
your weapon now,
hypnotized.
the agent tells him. The man looks over at his hand, which still holds the large pair of scissors, and smiles.
Uh-oh.
He gently places the scissors down on the table, careful not to let them touch the expensive cloth that is rolled out before him. Now put your hands up! This time, there's no response, and the man grips the edge of
Just
the table,
put it up, man.
smiling,
Nope.
and stares into the eyes of the agents.
Just put it up.
First one, then the other. Hands up or we'll be forced to shoot. The smile slowly leaves the handsome man's face.
Uh-oh.
Will you excuse me for one moment? He says, though with no hint in his voice that it's actually a request. The agents seem unsure of what to do. Both of them appear taken aback and confused by his nonchalant attitude. The handsome man turns away from the agents and quickly steps behind a dressing screen that's
See, that's
set
how
up
you
near
get
his
shot.
work table.
Right there.
As he walks behind it, he doesn't break his stride at all. He simply passes behind the screen for mere seconds and steps out on the other side.
What?
Only once he steps out, it isn't him anymore. The man that emerges from behind the screen is a completely different person. Where once he was slim, graceful, clean-shaven, and
Is he a
dressed
military
in a fine
guy?
suit, now he is heavy and muscled, like a professional football player, with a thick beard and dressed as if he's a member of a SWAT team. Before the agents can even react to the bizarre metamorphosis,
Oh, this guy's a
the large man
chameleon,
charges
huh?
them and begins attacking. He snaps the neck of one and plunges the scissors he snatched off the table into the other's neck. More SCP containment specialists, these ones dressed in tactical gear with no attempt made to disguise themselves as
It's like John
police,
Wick, bro.
flood into the room and open fire. But the man who looks like a Navy SEAL picks up the fallen agent's guns and begins firing both at the same time. He outguns and outmaneuvers the agents, effortlessly rolling behind cover while constantly firing, taking out agent after agent. Screams fill the air, both from the dying SCP agents, as well as the civilians who are struck through the walls by the onslaught, including the manager, who had snuck back to the door window to watch what he thought would be the
one
snobby,
guy
handsome
versus
man
what,
being
20
taken into
people?
custody.
That is
The
crazy.
window behind the special ops soldier explodes, and 2 SCP agents repel through, catching him by surprise and knocking him to the ground. It takes even more agents rushing in to hold the man down as he struggles and screams like a wild animal, breaking one of their jaws for good measure before they're finally able to subdue him and confine him with heavy-duty straps. When all is said and done, 17 agents and 10 civilians have lost their lives.
Did I get the right SCP? Yeah, it's the beautiful person.
Once it is taken to a secured location, it is given a new designation, SCP-056. But the site staff soon give it a new nickname, calling it simply a beautiful person.
A beautiful person.
SCP-056 is one of the most deceptive and one of the most dangerous anomalies known to the
this
SCP
one can
Foundation.
transform.
It is a being whose size, gender, and appearance can all vary in an instant.
That is hard to locate.
The form it has most
like a
commonly
chameleon?
taken while in containment
You cannot
resembles a
locate
man
this
who
guy.
appears to be in his mid-20s. His exact looks will vary slightly, but he will always be what could be described as incredibly handsome, at least by traditional societal standards. His clothes will change as well to be a style similar to those of other people around him, though they will
Now,
always be of a
these
higher quality
people
and
that
more
he's
aesthetically
transforming
pleasing
to,
than anyone nearby is wearing.
are those real people
While
that he's
appears to be
copying?
SCP-056's preferred
Or is just
form,
like a
it's far from its
whatever
only
he
one.
wants?
In addition to the young man, it has also been observed taking on the appearance of several others, including a woman with a striking resemblance to Hollywood actress Scarlett Johansson, a form it took when walking past a group of a younger female staff, a male bodybuilder who could bench press over 250 kilograms, which was 30
Yeah, I think he's
kilograms
just
more
copying
than the
other
strongest
people's
security
look, right?
guard stationed at the
He
Foundation
said The
site.
Rock.
It took the form of a female doctor who was measured as having an IQ score 30 points higher than any on-site researchers, as well as non-human forms, like a large, well-groomed
Dog.
Labrador retriever when it was exposed to another researcher's dog.
Yeah,
And
this
an
this guy's pretty much a
aesthetically pleasing couch
shapeshifter,
when
huh?
left alone in its own containment chamber.
A couch?
These changes from one form to another occur whenever people lose focus on the subject, something that seems to happen when new people are exposed to SCP-056.
You get the
And once they lose focus,
Chad
it's
look.
able to change in appearance virtually instantaneously. Attempts to film the transformation have resulted in the recording equipment exhibiting the same effect, seemingly losing focus, and being unable to
As
see
a girl
exactly
from,
what
Death
happens
Note,
when
huh? I
SCP-056
forgot her name.
changes from one form to another. Its clothing will change along with its bodily form, though so far it hasn't been observed manifesting weapons or other tools. Great efforts have been made to determine SCP-056's
It might start
original
doing that.
form, though so far these have all been met with failure. When placed within an empty concrete cell and placed under constant video surveillance, the cameras experienced the same loss of focus that others did, and then were met with a rather surprising figure left in the room. SCP-056 had taken the form of a video camera, similar to the one being used to record it.
Yo, this
though
guy
a
got no
slightly more
limits, huh?
advanced and expensive model. Additional attempts were made
Except
to
weapons, I
discover its
guess?
true form, this time without direct observation equipment, with researchers instead making use of passive scans that could detect changes to life forms. When they left SCP-056 alone and monitored it using these tools, what they found was nothing.
Nothing?
There was no detectable body temperature, heartbeat, or even weight.
But
It appeared
is
that
it
when
still
not
in there?
observed, SCP-056 simply ceased to be. Those who have personal contact with SCP-056 often report that the anomalous entity makes them feel substandard or jealous, as if they can't measure up to it, yet at the same time will seem to seek its approval. This extends to SCP security staff,
Like you
who
just
will
want to
express a
please
desire
this
to follow its
SCP,
commands,
huh?
while researchers will try to argue with it, something that usually results in them leaving its containment cell feeling as though they were outwitted by its intelligence. And SCP-056's expert
I guess this one
communication
attacks your
abilities seem not to be limited
self-esteem.
by complex subjects or language barriers.
Good SCP.
Research has shown it to be fluent in at least 200 different dialects. And it has
200?
exhibited an expert level of knowledge in such
that's a
varied
superpower
topics as
alone right
fashion, automobiles, theoretical science, sports, and a multitude of others, all of which it will usually show a greater knowledge
Ew.
of than the person it is conversing with. And despite leaving the conversations feeling dejected about their own abilities, those who talk to it will almost always express a desire to speak with SCP-056
It's like they get all
as if
depressed.
they can't resist being made to feel inadequate by it. A number of tests were then performed to discover just what form SCP-056 would take when presented with various situations, and the results were rather interesting. In the first, a male Class D personnel was given a knife and told to try and attack SCP-056. 056 quickly took the form of a young, fit man who was able to effortlessly disarm the attacking D-Class
So
and
he
kill
not
him with the knife
only
instead.
can
In
transform
another test, a female
He can
D-Class
only
entered
take,
its
like,
cell not with a weapon, but
the
with a bottle
ability of the
expensive
person
wine.
he
They were
transformed
met
into.
with SCP-056 in the form of a young, beautiful woman who accepted the wine, but upon trying it, spit it out in the D-Class's face and sent them away. Next, researchers sent 2 D-Classes in at the same time.
I guess she
one
was a
male and one
Samuel.
female, with no specific orders at all. SCP-056 appeared as a beautiful woman in a well-tailored business suit, who proceeded to examine both the D-Classes, pointing out their each and every physical flaw before sending them on their way. Researchers then tried sending 10 Class D personnel into the cell, all of whom were male and who had expressed a romantic preference for females. SCP-056 appeared as an especially beautiful female in a low-cut red dress. 056 didn't interact with the group in any way, but after 10 minutes, the D-Classes began to look uncomfortable. Soon, an all-out brawl
They start
broke out
fighting.
between the D-Classes
They
as
turn into
violently
Sims.
assaulted each other, apparently for SCP-056's approval.
Jeez.
056 seemed to watch the melee with pleasure for several minutes before calling an end to it and sending them all out. A member of staff then volunteered to be tested with SCP-056, a Level 4 personnel who was regarded
Level
as being
4.
especially beautiful herself. She entered SCP-056's cell, where the anomaly
Is she
took the
gonna get
form of a
jealous?
similarly beautiful, professional-looking woman, and the two proceeded to have a conversation, discussing various advanced personnel management techniques. The discussion seemed amiable, but after 90 minutes, the staff member appeared to become infuriated with SCP-056 and quickly left the
Yeah.
room. While no
Her
cross-tests
self-esteem
with
got
other
attacked,
SCPs
huh?
have yet to be performed, when asked about other anomalies, SCP-056 shows a rare instance of vulnerability, expressing hatred towards them, and even occasionally, fear.
Why? Because they're ugly?
SCP-056 has been relatively benign in its time in SCP containment, seemingly content to spend its time around Foundation staff. It's been allowed to have a cell of its own choosing, as well as pick its own furnishings, which have tended towards expensive and fashionable decor. Security staff assigned to guard
I guess
it are
this guy
equipped with
got
high-powered
lots of
tranquilizers,
freedom
and any staff that exhibit mental
being a
irregularities
SCP,
after
huh?
extended exposure to SCP-056 must undergo immediate psychological examination. It has frequently asked for access to the internet, and when asked why it desires that, SCP-056 responded that the Foundation was unable to provide it with enough sycophants, and that it wanted the whole world to know its face. Needless to say, its request for internet access
I
was
think this thing is
denied,
just like
and the
a
anomaly, which has
narcissist
been classified as
SCP.
Euclid, continues to be securely cut off from the general public.
I mean, it's a
and
Euclid,
remains
so
in
it's
Foundation
not
containment.
bad.
Now go and watch another entry from the files of Dr. Bob, like SCP-054.
Okay, that was not bad. Like, I guess this one's pretty simple, but still interesting, right? Like, he's pretty much a shapeshifter that can take, like, whatever form he makes or he turns into, he can take over their skills and abilities, right? If he turns to, like, a dog, he could pretty much, like, act like a dog or have the, like, ability of a dog. But the thing that's, like, make this a little different is, like, this one's kind of like a narcissistic SCP, you know? And it kind of attacks, well, it's not kind of, but it does attacks people's self-esteem and stuff like that. Which is like a little different, but you know, it's nice. But yeah, this one's SCP-056, A Beautiful Person by Dr. Bob. And yeah, that was it. Oh, that one's alright, right? Not bad.